Hi everyone, it's Dr. Raj. So on today's show, we talked about addiction. So I want to highlight a few things specifically about it. Number one, I want to highlight what chemical is involved in the brain, and that chemical is called dopamine. So when dopamine is released in the brain, you feel pleasure. So things like when you have your favorite meal and you take a tasty bite, that's a little bit of dopamine being released. Having a cigarette, or let's say taking a sip of your morning coffee, that's a little bit of dopamine being released. Well, illicit substances such as the opiates, the prescription pain medication, heroin, cocaine, alcohol, marijuana, and alcohol obviously is not illicit but licit. All of these substances have one thing in common, and that is they all increase dopamine levels. Well, what happens in the brain when the brain is flooded with dopamine over time is the following. Essentially, when dopamine is released, it goes and binds to a receptor called the dopamine receptor. The brain can't control the amount of dopamine being released because that's linked to how much substance is being used or abused. But it can control where it goes and binds, the receptor population. So the brain essentially says, whoa, 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 I'm being way overstimulated, take the receptors down. And so this is what we find, is that the D2, the dopamine type 2 receptors, get down-regulated after the brain has been flooded with dopamine for an extended period of time. Now, in some people, these changes happen quicker, and in some people, they happen slower. You can imagine some people have a genetic predisposition. They have a family history of it. So for them, those changes happen quicker. But once those changes happen, it doesn't matter how you got there. Now your dopamine receptors are down-regulated. Now let's say you get abstinent. So you say, finally, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get abstinent. But remember, outside of the physiological withdrawal that can accompany, stopping using certain substances, what else is going on is the dopamine receptors are now down. So going for a walk on the beach, not so exciting. Let's go to a movie, not really interesting. So that's why in the beginning of sobriety, and remember also that abstinence does not equal sobriety. Abstinence plus recovery equals sobriety. But in the beginning of sobriety, in the beginning of abstinence, it can be very difficult because those same things you used to enjoy, well, you just don't experience them the same way. So you have to hang in there. There's clear research that shows us if you make it to day 90, then there's a higher likelihood that you will have long-term abstinence and sobriety. So hang in there, take one day at a time. 90 meetings in 90 days, that's not just out of thin air. That's actually research driven. So get to a meeting every day, reach out for support. Remember, it takes time for the brain to go and revert back to that normal state. The dopamine receptors do then start getting upregulated, but that really can take a year to 2 years. So hang in there, reach out for support. This is Dr. Raj saying, be well.